Welcome to the Coaching Clinic with John and Angie.
The show for professional coaches who want to develop their skills and grow their business.
Follow the show on your favorite podcast app.
And join us every Wednesday for new episodes.
All right, today I want to talk about the topic of clients ghosting and maybe even coaches ghosting as well, because it does happen. And you probably noticed by the lack of introduction that Angie is not here with me today. She's taking care of some family business right now, but she will be back to the show as soon as possible. Although do stay tuned, because we are going to be taking a little summer break from the coaching clinic. We may still pop up on YouTube for some bits and pieces now and again, but we will be taking a couple of months off, and we will not be ghosting you, as is the theme of this show. We will be returning probably in September. We haven't fixed the date, either going to be late August or early September, that we'll be returning with some more coaching clinic episodes for you. So ghosting, this is just a reality of working in the coaching industry, probably in many different industries. And if you've been coaching for a while, you've probably already had the experience of clients ghosting you. And if you don't know what ghosting is, this is really where a client, or where anybody really, stops responding to emails, text messages, voice messages, or any kind of contact attempts. And you just get a brick wall. They may even block you on certain channels to stop hearing from you. They do not want to communicate with you any further. Most commonly, in my experience, it's been where clients have maybe decided that they don't want to continue with their coaching, but they don't want to speak to their coach and say that they want to continue. They feel awkward about it. Many people do not enjoy having those awkward conversations where you're saying, actually, I'm not going to continue. But really, there can be a lot of value in that. One is that many of us are afraid of confrontational kind of situations, which is why we avoid this. But that is something that will really help you to grow. Ultimately, it should not be a confrontational conversation. It should be possible to be an honest conversation, which can really just be along the lines of, I do encourage honesty here, either I'm not getting enough value from the coaching, I'm struggling to fit it in with my time, I do not want to be spending the money on coaching at the moment, I want to take a break and maybe consider coming back in the future, whatever it is. But I would say better to check in with the coach rather than to ghost if you can, because this is part of your growth and development as well. So if you ghosted a coach in the past, then think about what the reason for that was. Just know many of your clients will have similar reasons for doing that with you as well. But it is a good reason why we should make sure we get payment in advance wherever possible, because chasing payment from clients after the fact is very challenging. I've even had a situation with a coaching company where people weren't showing up, but the coaching company was continuing to charge them on their accounts. And obviously I wasn't getting paid for that because I wasn't coaching them. I got paid for the coaching that I did. But if they weren't showing up for the sessions, they were still being charged. And then you get a nasty email, please stop charging me. And they can be some very unpleasant emails from time to time as well. And because some people tend to assume that if they come in super aggressive, they fly in hot, that you're going to take action and you're going to be scared into action right away. The reality, in my experience, is that they get handled the same way. They'll get an email saying, when did you stop having your coaching? The company will check in with the coach that they actually have stopped showing up for the coaching sessions. And they will get a response that says it is your responsibility to cancel your coaching sessions before renewal. And usually will also go along the lines of, in this case, we have decided to refund your payments from the time that you stopped doing coaching, other than the last month that you didn't complete, perhaps, or something like that. You often will end up giving a refund because generally it's not really worth the hassle and the bad mouthing that people will end up doing. There are people who will, find you on Better Business Bureau or wherever else and give you a bad rating, find your social media and slate you on social media and other places as well if they don't get what they want out of the situation, even though they are actually responsible for it. It just happens. And it's interesting that it happens with coaching. So I think, if you think, oh, it's not exactly the same. If you take out a membership in a club or a gym or wherever, and you've got like a 6-month contract, but you stop showing up after the first month, as some people do, but you keep paying for it. If you then say, I want my money back because I wasn't coming and using this, they're just going to laugh at you and say, I'm sorry, but you had the availability to come and use it. You certainly could take that path as a coach. I wouldn't personally encourage it. This is something you have to decide for yourself. You're going to stand your ground and say, "No, your responsibility." If you're going to do that, frame it up with your clients before that if you ever stop showing up, if you ever stop missing sessions, it is up to you to cancel any payments and to let me know. I always say as well, once coaching has been paid for, unless there are circumstances where either you're just not happy with the coaching, you're not happy with me for some reason, and not satisfied with the coaching you've been receiving, those are the only circumstances that I would be willing to consider a refund. If you've made the payment and some big life event has happened and you desperately need the money and you can't afford to make the payment anymore, look, these exceptional things do happen. That is not the same as being ghosted. That what will often happen is clients will just disappear. And no matter how much you email, message, or wherever, try and get in touch with them, they often won't respond to it. And it is that awkwardness that starts to come up for people that they don't want to do that. Sometimes it is just that they don't want to pay. So you can end up with situations where they will be showing up to the last minute and then they just cancel. And you do have to keep a very good account and track of your coaching and your clients, whether you're working for a coaching company or working independently. It's essential that you be responsible as the coach for keeping a good track, good record. Know when your clients' renewal dates are coming up. Schedule in those renewal conversations. If you have a 3-month or 6-month or 12-month contract with a client, you should be checking in with them at fairly regular intervals anyway. We have a whole episode about renewals and renewal conversations, and it's episode 29 if you want to go and check that out. Well worth taking a look at. But you should be preparing your clients for the fact that renewal is coming up. It's not a secret. It should never be a case that suddenly a renewal payment goes through and they're not ready for it or unaware that that's coming through. They should have agreed to it. They know the payment is coming through. You have the right details. Everything is set up. We want things to go as smoothly as possible, because even something like a payment not going through can start to create challenges if they are trying to book in coaching sessions and you haven't actually received the payment in advance yet. And you do end up sometimes with these situations where you're getting pressured to deliver a coaching session that hasn't yet been paid for. I would say that is important to say, hey, we need to be a little patient here, because the policy is to not deliver any coaching that hasn't been paid for. This is just a little glitch. We will have to wait a little while, and I apologize for the inconvenience that this is causing, but we really do have to stick by this policy because of problems it's caused in the past. If you've ever had a coach who has ghosted on you and stopped being available or been unreliable, I've had them. And I definitely think it's a good idea to call that out, especially if they owe you coaching. Let them know and maybe even chase it up. But one of the realities of being a coach, especially if you're working with international clients, is it may just be next to impossible or just not worth the hassle of trying to chase up any outstanding payments that may be due to you. Some people will want to pay on monthly or bi-monthly or quarterly basis, and then the payment doesn't go through. And they have a 6-month or 12-month contract and they've broken that down. This happens as well, and they're very likely to ghost you in those kinds of situations as well, because it's awkward, they feel embarrassed about it, and they actually just made a decision that they're not going to continue, and rather than let you know, just decided to cancel the payment instead or stop it going through. It's not the nicest way of doing things, and I do think it's important to let those clients know in those situations and hope that they will actually, even if they probably won't respond to it, but let them know that if they do ever want to return to coaching or a program, whatever else you're doing at some point, that they will need to settle the balance first. That if they do not pay whatever is outstanding on this program, that which they would be welcome to finish if it's still available, but they will not be welcome back into any of your coaching or training or services until that balance is paid. And I don't think that's unreasonable. In fact, it's a pretty nice way of doing it, because it would be very easy to just turn around and say, hey, you need to pay. This is a 6-month contract or it's a 12-month contract. You agreed to that. Some people have paid up front for this and some people won't. But there's honestly, a limited amount you can do unless you have the legal resources to go after and the money is actually worth going after. So you're going to have to make your own decisions on this, but chasing payments that haven't been made or just been cancelled at the last minute is a really difficult and time wasting kind of thing to do. And nearly always you're better off not doing that. You're also better off, if they're not showing up, just cancelling their payments so they don't keep getting charged, and you don't end up having to deliver refunds potentially or any unpleasant situations, because believe me, they will send unpleasant emails. I've had that. And try and avoid that as much as possible. We don't need things to get unpleasant, and it doesn't need to be awkward. I found myself at events and social situations where clients who had ghosted me, or even clients who badmouthed me online, had been there, and I've had to have conversations with them, or chosen to have conversations with them. But I'm never unpleasant about it. I think it's important to be able to rise above these things and show that there's no malice. Take away any reason that they might have to be scared of approaching you or talking to you, and also pull the thread from whatever story that they have about you that they might have been telling themselves and other people about you not being a good coach, or not being easy to work with, or not being easy to communicate with, whatever has maybe been going on there. That does sometimes happen. I think you showing up and being impeccable with your word, as the four agreements goes, not taking it personally and not making assumptions as to why this has happened, because we don't really know what's gone on for people, and really just being the best you that you can be in those situations. It's always going to serve you better. Take the higher ground. Ultimately, take the higher ground. I'm not suggesting we should take financial hits for other people's mess ups, but there are times where we do just have to accept, either we have to give a refund to somebody, or sometimes it's just going to be easier to give someone the refund. Sometimes it's just going to be easier to cut them loose and be okay with that, even if it does end up leaving a bit of a bad taste in your mouth. It's going to be better for your reputation than any kind of friction that people will sometimes take to social media or Better Business Bureau or Trust Pilot or wherever else that you might be listed, and potentially damage or try and damage your reputation because something hasn't gone the way they wanted. And believe me, those people are out there. They do it. It does happen. It's not the worst thing in the world if you have one or two bad reviews on any of these places, so long as they're not your only reviews. And so long as they're far outweighed by people who are super happy with you and your services and products. But I think in life, ghosting is unavoidable. I think we maybe have all had that experience. If you haven't, you probably will, of clients who say they're going to renew, but they're not actually going to. And they potentially know that whilst they're talking to you, but they feel embarrassed or awkward about letting you know that they're not going to renew, and they just cancel. And rather than having the challenging or uncomfortable for them conversation, they'd rather just ghost you and block you and not have to deal with it. And to some degree, it's understandable. It's human nature. It's such a common part of life now that we do that. But I think that having a good strategy to deal with it, and one that at least allows you to leave everything in as good standing as you can, and not to lose your temper about it or get angry, but understand that sometimes people are going to do shitty things, and it might even end up at your expense, unfortunately. But this is part of the price of running business, especially the kind of business that we do, where we really do need to manage our reputations as well as we can and show up with integrity, but also show it with integrity, but show it with compassion as well, because we never really know what has been going on for the clients. And the fact that they've been coaching at all says they do want to improve, they do want to work on themselves, maybe just not with you right now. I think that probably covers everything I would want to say about this. But have you been ghosted? Have you had horrible situations to deal with that? Have you been the person who's ghosted a coach or a client? And what complications have come up for you around that? Or how did it feel? Is it something that you're okay with? Is it something that absolutely grinds your gears and drives you nuts? Would love to hear from you. Get in touch with us. Leave us a comment on YouTube. Why not? Or you can reach out to myself and Angie. We'll give you the details for that in just a moment. But we'd love to hear from you and hear your experiences. Are you just getting started with this and it's got you worried about what clients might be like? Don't worry. the vast majority of them are absolutely fine. So let me just be clear on that. The ghosting situation is not super common. Most of your clients will actually be lovely, wonderful, and probably want to work with you for a long time. That's it from me. We'll be back after the summer break with some more coaching clinic, but we might pop up on YouTube from time to time. So if you want to see maybe any live bits or short clips on there that we might post in the meantime, please make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube channel. See you soon.
Do you have a question for the coaching clinic?
Reach out on LinkedIn to connect with Angie and John.
Leave us a voicemail or video message and we will feature you on the show.
You can also leave up to 90-second voicemail for free on www.speakpipe.com/the Coaching Clinic podcast.
We'd love to hear from you.
See you next time.
Bye for now.